"I think someone's watching us," she said. I was holding a wrench when she said it, standing in the corner of the women's locker room, fixing a loose valve beneath the bench sinks. She looked nervous. A teenage girl in a cheer hoodie, maybe 16, maybe less. Her eyes were on the mirror above the lockers, but she wasn't looking at herself, just above her head, toward the air vent. That's when I noticed the red light. "My name is Mallory Carter. I'm 32 years old. Former Army logistics, now a facility operations manager for Havenstone Wellness, a high-end fitness chain that sells empowered living and $14 smoothies. I don't do front desk greetings or yoga class scheduling. I do wiring, locks, hidden leaks, camera maintenance. I've seen the inside of every vent, crawl space, and fuse box in the building. And I'd never seen that light before. It was small, blinking, tucked into the upper vent grill facing the showers, where no camera was ever supposed to be. I climbed up and unscrewed the plate. Inside, duct tape held a tiny camera the size of a matchbox. Battery-powered. No gym tag, no mount, no label. Just recording. The red light winked once. Then again. I didn't call the police. I didn't call the GM. I didn't even tell the front desk I found it. Instead, I powered it off, slipped it into a microfiber bag, took 23 photos. Vent, mount angle, timestamp, mirror reflection. Then I went to my car and opened the glove box, pulled the backup SD reader I keep for system restores, drove home in silence. Didn't touch the radio. When I finally plugged it in, there were 56 video clips on the card. The oldest dated back 27 days. The most recent? It had been recorded that morning, 32 minutes before I found the camera. I watched one clip, a woman in her late 40s changing out of a sports bra. I watched another, 2 girls laughing, towel snapping. One of them looks up, directly at the vent. And the third? Ashley, a scholarship cheer recruit. She paused in front of the mirror, looking directly at the camera, and smiled nervously like she thought she was imagining. That's when I closed the laptop. No rage, no fear, just clarity. The next morning, I printed every photo, screenshotted every timestamp, wrote a 12-page report, methodical, exact. Title, Unauthorized Surveillance Device Located in Women's Locker Area, Urgent. At 9:04 a.m., I walked into Human Resources and handed it to Tara, the director. She barely looked up from her screen. "This about that locker room vent thing you mentioned yesterday?" I didn't answer. She flipped the folder open, flipped to the photo of the red light, flipped again to the still frame of Ashley. Her voice changed. "Where's the device now?" "In my possession. I'll escalate this," she said. That was Thursday. By Friday, I had no callback. By Monday, my camera access login had been revoked, and by the following Wednesday, my report had vanished from the shared drive completely. Not filed, not flagged, just gone. That's when I knew. They weren't ignoring me. They were erasing me, and I hadn't even started fighting back yet. They waited 10 days. 10 days of silence. No reply to my follow-up email. No investigation updates. No escalation meeting. My keycard still worked, but my system access didn't. I wasn't on the internal staff schedule anymore. My email signature was missing the company logo. By the time I got the meeting invite, I already knew I was being fired. It came as a calendar block titled Quick Sync WHR 11:15 a.m. Conference Room B. No details. Just that. Not in Tara's office, not in legal, a neutral space, cold, quiet, non-threatening, like a needle already dipped in antiseptic. I showed up 2 minutes early. Tara was already seated. Beside her was a man I didn't know. Brown suit, no tie, laptop already open. He didn't introduce himself. "Please have a seat," she said. There was no coffee, no folder, just a piece of paper on the table with my name printed across the top. Tara didn't blink when she started. "After an internal review, we've determined your conduct in recent weeks has negatively impacted workplace morale." I didn't say anything. Brown suit jumped in. "Specifically," he said, "your access to sensitive areas, refusal to cooperate with supervisory protocols, and allegations raised by fellow staff regarding your use of surveillance equipment." I stared at the paper. It wasn't a termination form. It was a separation agreement, the kind written for people who want to resign quietly before being pushed. "I didn't use any surveillance equipment," I said. Tara kept her face still. "That's not what the staff reports reflect." I met her eyes. "Which staff?" "That's confidential." They kept talking about protecting the environment, about emotional safety, about preserving the Havenstone ethos. Each phrase colder than the last. Polished corporate daggers. I'd heard them before. Back in Kandahar, when a major screwed over a female intel officer by calling her aggressive in front of the CO. Same tone, same passive execution. Tara folded her hands. "We believe this is the best outcome. You'll receive a prorated severance if you sign today. It includes a mutual non-disparagement clause." I nodded once, then slid the paper back toward her. Declined. Brown suit raised an eyebrow. You understand this voids any severance? I understand, I said. Then I stood up. My keycard didn't work when I tried to exit the stairwell. Someone had already deactivated it. I smiled at the camera. Not the locker room one, the one above the fire escape exit. I walked out to the parking lot with no box, no escort. I hadn't even been given time to clean out my desk. A junior trainer I'd mentored for 2 years crossed my path without making eye contact. Her shoulders were tight. She kept walking. At my car, I found my final paycheck folded into an envelope taped to the windshield. No envelope branding, no thank you for your service. Just one line item highlighted in red, equipment damages deduction, $212. They were charging me for removing the camera. When I got home, I opened my personal laptop, pulled up the file directory I'd labeled HOLD. Inside, time-stamped photos, video logs, and the original report. Every page, every screenshot, every name. At the very bottom of the folder was a digital scan of the termination letter they'd just handed me. I added a new document to the folder. Title, Intent to Escalate, Summary Packet. And then I opened a new browser tab. Typed in, District Attorney's Office, Special Victims Unit. Clicked, Request Appointment. Selected, In Person. Under subject, I wrote, Hidden camera in locker room. Fired for reporting it. No emotion. No threat. No drama. Just facts. Let them try to gaslight me again. I still had the footage, and now I had motive. They erased me fast, faster than I expected. My name was removed from the staff directory by the end of the day. My company email bounced back with an invalid recipient error by 4:15 p.m. My LinkedIn inbox filled with 2 things, silence from people I trained and a sudden string of connection requests from people I'd never met. Private investigators or media reps, I couldn't tell yet. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I pulled the blinds, powered on my personal laptop, and opened the archive folder I'd labeled Hold. First, I made a timeline. I used the Army format we learned in Logistics Command. Time event, notes, 10:42 a.m. Found red light inside vent, locker room, northeast panel, 12:27 p.m. Downloaded SD footage, labeled Cam A, 3:11 p.m. Report submitted to HR PDF plus screenshots, 3:22 p.m. HR acknowledged receipt, no escalation record after. 4 days later, access revoked. Camera system login error, 10 days later fired. Allegations, misconduct. I underlined the phrase, Cam A is not company issued. No purchase order on file. No vendor record. I had receipts. They had silence. Second, I reached out to Noel, my cousin in Baltimore. White hat, works cybersecurity for a government contractor. When we were kids, he used to jailbreak Game Boys for fun. Now, he reverse engineers malware for classified contracts. He picked up after 1 ring. I heard, he said. I didn't ask how. I just said, I need to recover wiped metadata. Remote server. He paused. Then, you still logging timestamps like I taught you? Never stopped. I'll send a private drive link. Encrypt it before upload. I'll pull what they thought they deleted. Then he hung up. No contracts. No questions. Family. Third, I opened the sealed envelope I hadn't looked at since the day before. The check. Final pay stub. Highlighted. Equipment damage. $212. I scanned it. Noted the signature. Scanned the envelope too. It wasn't mailed. It had been dropped off by hand. Inside, between the check and the stub, was a sticky note, not addressed to me, just 1 line in messy, nervous pen. They've done this before. Check March 14th. Internal server. No name. No return address. But the handwriting, I recognized it. Bridget, accounting, 23 years old, quiet. Nobody ever listened to her in team meetings. Apparently they should have. The next morning I went to the coffee shop down the road, one of the few with an open upstairs seating loft and a passwordless guest Wi-Fi. I ordered tea, sat down, opened a burner laptop. Not my personal one, not the company-issued one I'd built 6 months ago, just in case. I logged into an FTP access client that hadn't been wiped yet, because no one remembered I created it during the January data migration. Inside were archived backups of the server structure, including folder trees from HR's compliance logs, including one labeled Incident March 14 Cam. I clicked it open. Inside were PDF reports. 2 names jumped out. Employee complaint, Olivia M. Witness statement, redacted. The complaint summary was chilling. Female client reports hidden device found in towel cabinet. HR concluded inconclusive. Complainant contract not renewed. Manager cleared of wrongdoing. Employee terminated following emotional outburst. It was all there. History repeating. That night, I added a new set of documents to my archive folder. the March 14th rapport, a blank copy of Havenstone's NDA template, the sticky note from the envelope, 3 staff names who signed the witness logs. Then I added one final file, whistleblower, internal pattern report. I wrote 3 emails. Only one was signed with my real name. The second used a burner alias. The third was anonymous, sent to a journalist I'd met once in a law enforcement accountability panel last year. Subject line, locker room surveillance, retaliation against reporter. I didn't ask them to write a story. I sent them the timeline. Then I logged off and waited. No emotion, no meltdown, no fury. This isn't about revenge. It's about what happens when the one person you tried to silence never stopped recording. The district attorney's office looked like every municipal building I've ever worked in. Fluorescent lighting, hollow tile floors, and a waiting room with the kind of chairs that make you sit upright out of guilt. I arrived 5 minutes early. I was wearing black cargo pants and a plain sweater. No makeup, no jewelry, just a flash drive in my pocket and the weight of a story that no one wanted to hear. Until now. Detective Elena Gomez came out to meet me, late 30s. Professional but quiet. The type who'd seen too much to fake surprise. "You're the one who submitted the online report?" she asked. "Yes." She led me to a side room. No camera, no mirror, just a conference table and a single legal pad. She offered me coffee. I declined. Then I pulled out the flash drive and said, "You need to see this before we talk." The drive contained 5 folders. Surveillance footage, Cam A, redacted employee termination files, witness statements from March, photos of the device in place, termination letter and pay stub. I didn't narrate. I didn't explain. I just let her scroll in silence. 10 minutes in, she stopped and asked, "How many minors appear on this footage?" I gave her the number. 3 confirmed, 1 suspected. She paused, then wrote something on her pad. When she finished, she asked me just one question. "Why come to us now?" I answered exactly like Jake would have his protagonist answer. "Because you didn't know what you were looking at before. And now you do." By 2 p.m., the DA's office had begun assembling a review team. I wasn't told who would handle what. I wasn't given updates. But I didn't need them, because I wasn't finished yet. The next morning, a manila envelope arrived at the headquarters of the Department of Labor. Inside, an unsigned whistleblower complaint, evidence of retaliation against a protected report, 3 scanned NDAs from former staff with matching termination phrases, inappropriate conduct, disruption to morale, undermining authority, a timeline, labeled recurring surveillance abuse, Havenstone Wellness Facilities, no return address, no contact request, just a post-it note. Not the first, likely not the last. Meanwhile, my cousin Noel sent me a ping. The forensic recovery was complete. He'd found a deleted user directory created 3 months earlier, hidden behind a dummy admin profile. It was labeled, Stock Vault, Do Not Delete. Inside were folders sorted by locker room, west, east, and staff, timestamps, clip thumbnails, download logs. All of them were active, with remote backups set to a personal cloud server registered to an IP address tied to the regional manager's private residence. He sent me the access logs and a single message. "You ready to flip the switch?" I uploaded 3 curated clips, all blurred, anonymized, and time-stamped to a secure Dropbox folder. Then I drafted an email to Ava Kohler, investigative journalist at the Kansas Chronicle. She'd won a regional award last year for exposing misconduct in a public school board. Subject line, locker room surveillance, internal retaliation and possible felony abuse. Full evidence package enclosed. I signed it only. From someone who reported it and got fired. Then I hit send. I didn't post on social media. Didn't go public. Didn't tweet. I let the evidence speak and waited. The news would break. The subpoenas would land. The panic would start. And no one would see my name. At 6:42 p.m., I received a text from a number I hadn't saved. "You need to stop this. You're going to destroy people who don't deserve it." I read it once, then deleted it. At 7:03 p.m., I got another. "Unknown, please. We can fix this in turn. No more damage. Please, just come in." This one, I responded. "You already said everything you needed to say." In my termination, I turned off closed my laptop, poured tea, and waited because they didn't know what I'd done. But they were about to. The story broke on a Monday. The Kansas Chronicle ran it first. Hidden camera scandal, Rock's wellness chain, whistleblower allegedly fired after reporting footage of minors. The article was measured, surgical. It didn't name names, just hinted at a female facilities manager, and cited internal documents, forensic digital logs, and a sealed March incident now confirmed by DA investigators. The gym denied everything. The next day, Ava published part 2. That's when it started. 3 former employees came forward, all women. 2 had been terminated within weeks of submitting locker room safety complaints. One claimed she was asked to sign an NDA while still crying in the HR office. All three used the same language in their HR notices: morale risk, team disruption, security boundaries breached. None had been given severance. All had reported unusual equipment in client spaces. None had been believed. The gym's PR team issued a statement calling the article reckless journalism. They insisted no evidence supports the existence of unauthorized surveillance devices, and that the company was committed to empowering wellness in a safe and inclusive environment. But the footage said otherwise. So did the timestamps. And then came the parents. A father posted a screenshot, blurred but clear enough, of his daughter in a towel, pulled from the public Dropbox folder Ava had made accessible for transparency. He tagged every major news outlet. He tagged a senator. He tagged the gym's Twitter account. That post reached 40,000 shares in 2 hours. By morning, there were protesters outside 3 Havenstone locations. At the Midtown facility where I used to work, someone spray-painted, "You hid cameras from children" across the front windows in red. The next day, the CEO issued a statement. He looked tired, sweaty, like he hadn't slept. "We are devastated by these accusations and will cooperate with any investigation." He kept talking, but no one was listening anymore. 2 board members resigned that week. The regional manager, the one whose home IP was linked to the StockVault server, was placed on leave pending review. The review never came. By Friday, he'd scrubbed his LinkedIn and changed his number. The gym's primary investor pulled out on Saturday, but it didn't stop there. The whistleblower complaint I'd sent to the Department of Labor? It triggered a full audit. Turns out, Havenstone had a long-standing pattern of hiring private contractors for security upgrades, none of whom were properly certified, and one of whom had already been charged with voyeurism in another state 6 years ago. They'd hired him under a different name. Had I not pulled the metadata from the camera, that connection would have stayed buried. They called it an oversight. Ashley's mom went public next. She cried on camera holding a photo of her daughter in her cheer hoodie. Said she always knew something wasn't right. Said her daughter didn't feel safe in changing rooms anymore. Said they should have listened to the woman who found the camera the first time. My name still hadn't appeared in any article, but I was being spoken about. In staff meetings, in HR memos, in boardroom whispers. They didn't say it outright, but everyone knew. The facilities manager, the one who didn't yell, the one who made the report, the one we fired. I didn't respond to the media requests, didn't answer the email asking for an interview, didn't call the journalist back. I didn't have to. They were doing all the talking now, and none of them had answers. On Thursday, someone forwarded me an email chain from inside the company. Subject line, crisis control, staff talking points. One line caught my eye. If asked about Mallory Carter, deflect to legal. Do not engage. I read it once, then archived it. No gloating, no confrontation. I'd given them a chance to clean it up quietly. They chose to bury me instead. Now they were drowning in the dirt they kicked over my body. The gym closed on a Tuesday. No announcement, no farewell post. Just a paper sign taped to the glass. Location permanently closed. Please contact corporate. The sign was crooked. The blinds behind it were shut, and someone had etched a single word into the door with a key. Pervert. I didn't go there. I didn't drive by. I saw it in a photo someone texted me, a former maintenance guy from the South location. He just wrote, "You were right. They're all shutting down." I never replied. Didn't need to. A few days later, a letter arrived. No sender name. Law firm watermark. Inside was a check. 6 figures. It came with a post-it note clipped to a non-disclosure agreement I never signed. Not an admission of guilt, just closure. I didn't cash it. Didn't tear it up either. I kept it in a drawer with the others. One from HR, one from legal, one from the investor group. They all used the same phrase. Let's move forward. But I wasn't moving. I was done. My cousin Noel called. Asked if I wanted to help consult for a startup focused on whistleblower protection infrastructure. I told him no. I wasn't interested in building shields for people who wouldn't listen until the damage was already done. I was interested in silence. My kind of silence. Ashley's mom found me through a friend of a friend, sent a message. Just 2 lines. "You saved my daughter from something I'll never understand. Thank you." I read it once. Didn't reply. Didn't need to. She already knew. I moved cities by the end of the month. No announcement, no forwarding address. I donated every box of old uniforms, badges, and facility keys to a thrift store outside the county line. Started going by my middle name at the new job. No one there knows what happened. No one there asks why I don't talk about my last employer. And no one there knows that every locker room I walk past still makes my pulse change for half a second. I saw a news update last week. One of the board members took a job with a biotech company. In the photo, he smiled like nothing ever happened. But I noticed the comments were limited, because people remember. The Chronicle ran a 1 year later piece, included a quote from the DA, said their office had created a new internal department for workplace retaliation cases, said the first case that shaped the department was anonymous, but referred to a dismissed employee whose meticulous record-keeping allowed for convictions, audits, and legislation. They never named me, but the people who mattered knew. I'm not angry anymore. I don't miss the job. I don't want an apology. I don't want recognition. I just wanted someone to see what I saw, and to believe it, before they blamed me for it. The last line of my original report, the one that got lost, still lives in my backup. I read it sometimes, just to remember how quiet justice can sound. No further action taken. Device disabled. Footage preserved. Let the evidence speak. And now it has. Loud enough for everyone. Quiet enough for me. That's all for this story. I'll be back with another one. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. It motivates me to create more content like this.